everyone. Jen with Convicted Hearts, and I am here with Harvey from Harvey Talks Prison. How are you, Harvey?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was so happy to find your channel the other day when it popped up on my feed. I was really looking forward to talking to you.
That's great. I was looking forward to talking to you too.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to have people from different sides of the U.S. or whatever, and share our stories. And your story really tugged at my heartstrings. So I just want to start out with, I guess, asking where you're from, and maybe you can tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Well, I was born and raised in Phelps County, Missouri, Rolla. That's about 100 miles from here,
Okay.
and on a farm, in
Yeah.
a small town, farming community.
Hmm.
So I grew up there until I was about 17.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. So kind of like country living, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Things could be better.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Now, did you have siblings, or you only child, or?
No, I had a brother,
Okay, a
and
brother.
he's the reason I went to prison.
That's right. That's right. If you're, maybe we can go ahead and get into that. If you'd like to start out with telling me a little about that situation and how that came about.
Well, we had a distant cousin that lived not too far away,
Hmm.
and he was just like a jerk. But I didn't realize how bad of a person he was until I noticed that he's always aiming guns at my brother, threatening him, you know.
Yeah.
And but I thought that's all it was, And then I found out about the abuse, and I told my parents, and they did not believe me.
Wow.
And he was mad at me for telling them because I guess he felt shame or something. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
And so nobody believed me, And that's the one thing I've been stressing for since I've been out is
Hmm.
listen to your children.
Yes.
And so one day I just took matters in my own hand and shot him, you know,
Hmm.
during deer season.
Yeah.
But up until then, everything was perfect.
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for a better life.
Right. So this
You know,
event really just derailed everything you knew then.
everything.
Yeah.
And my parents never did forgive themselves. They always apologized. It was hard on them.
I can imagine it would be. Yeah. Yeah. I think that, what you said, listen to your children, that's a good message for all of us, because you never know, what's really going on. And most times it is somebody in the family, or a friend of the family.
Right. The thing is, listen to your children, even if it turns out not to be true.
Right.
At least follow through and find out.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
Err on the side of caution, for sure.
Right.
Most definitely. Now, right after that happened, did you were you picked up right away, or was it something that you
Right after
how
it
did
happened, I fell to my knees crying.
yeah.
I just and then is that your phone?
No, not mine.
Oh,
It's
I don't know
okay.
what that was. Anyway, they came out there and they was thinking it was a hunting accident at first,
Yeah.
and then like a couple of days later, uh, they arrested me. For the murder. They did a lie detector test. And on me. They felt I was being untruthful, and so they arrested me for murder.
Right.
But they kind of understood. Some of them did,
Sure.
and but the prosecutor wasn't buying it.
Mm.
He said even if what he says is true, he went out there and shot the guy in cold blood.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it during the act. He just went out there and shot him, which is true, you know. But
Yeah, but
you know,
see,
I didn't know. I didn't,
yeah,
I didn't know what to do else to do. You know what else?
of
Nobody was
course,
believing me.
of course, I'm sure you felt, desperate, and that's a heavy thing for, a young person to deal with, for any age to deal
Yeah,
with, you know.
yeah. I was 17. You know,
Yeah, that's a
but
kid.
excuse me. But they offered me a plea deal for 25 years, and I took it.
Wow, okay.
But I ain't the brightest person, especially at that time. And so me and two other guys were trying to escape from the jail. And my
Oh man.
yeah, my brother he had brought some hacksaw blades up for us,
Hmm.
you know, because he wanted me out, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
and that just after that all deals was off. You know, I shouldn't have even took a plea deal. You know,
Yeah.
everybody in prison said you should have never took a plea deal. You know, said they scared you,
Hmm.
you know, because you was young,
Yeah, I think that
and
happens a lot. Yeah.
right. And I didn't know nothing about the law or anything, you know. So
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
so they come back with another deal. You know, they said if you don't take this deal, all the charges are going to be ran wild. There's like three of them, and you know you won't get out. You know, or you can take a plea for a life sentence. And
Hmm.
so that's what I ended up doing.
Wow.
And everybody, yeah, that's what same
Yeah.
expression everybody in prison had too. They said, "Man, you should have never done that." You know,
Yeah. But you were so young. It's hard to know what to do, and
right?
knowing that your brother, wanted you there and out. Of course, I'm sure your mind is everywhere. Were you actually caught trying to escape, or was it prevented ahead of time?
We just kind of caught in the middle of it.
Okay.
You know, we cut through the bars, and one of the guys went down the catwalk, and he was asking other people if they wanted to go. Well, they just told on us.
Mhm.
You know,
Oh
so
wow. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay. And starting, when once you started serving your term, what prison were you actually in?
The first prison I was in was Missouri State Penitentiary, the Walls.
Oh,
It has a bunch of nicknames, the bloodiest 47 acres, you know,
oh, man.
and it was just brutal, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to make it out of there alive.
Oh, I bet. I bet. And going in so young, I'm sure it was a rude awakening to what.
I didn't think nobody, I didn't think nobody left there alive. I thought
Really.
everybody died. Guards and inmates all died sooner or later, you know. That's how bad it was.
So you saw a lot of violence then.
Right. But the thing that has always stuck with me out of all of the violence was I was coming back from chow hall one day,
Hmm.
and as I came into my wing, there was a guy about my age, you know, 18, 19, something like that, maybe 20,
Hmm.
hanging from the top tier. And I mean, I was just shocked, you know, and
Yeah.
he had tied two chutes together and tied one around the top rail and jumped off. And the reason why, you know, what got me really was everybody else. Hey, keep going, mind your own business. It said
Yeah.
that hoe got what he deserved. You know, they was just calling him all kinds of names and stuff. And come to find out, he had told, from what I understand, he had told on some people for stealing his commissary, and
Oh,
so they turned around and raped him. A couple
man.
of them did, and so he
Hmm.
just
You just took yourself out. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is.
yeah, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I bet that was crazy to see.
Yeah,
It'd be hard to get out of your mind that image.
yeah, and the what everybody was saying too, you know, it was just
Yeah.
like wow, you know,
Makes it seem so cold, right? It's just matter of
it
fact.
was,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a crazy thing. Was it? So I know. I mean, in California, it's of course like snitching or harming children. You're basically a mark in prison. Is it pretty much the same there?
It is, and it used to be that sex offenders weren't allowed on the yard.
Okay.
But I mean, they just wasn't. They'd get hurt. You
Yeah.
know. But nowadays, you're starting to see. Before I left, I was starting to see more and more of them. You know, and
Okay.
I couldn't stand it. You know.
Oh, I bet.
You know, you have the nerve to walk the yard. You know?
Yeah,
But
I can't imagine.
but the last one I know of, he got killed by accident. Actually,
Really? Tell me about
yeah.
that.
I mean, I don't know how to put it. A bunch of guys. This young guy had come to prison,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this group of wannabe people, you know, like, and they goaded him into beating this guy up.
Oh,
They
okay.
said, if you want to be a part of us, you know,
Mm-hmm.
beat this guy up. Well, those type of people.
Yeah.
Well, he went and beat the guy up and accidentally killed him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And now he's not getting out. He only had like 7 more years to do or something, and now he's not getting out. You know, and
Jeez.
I was kind of mad. I wasn't mad about the guy dying. You know, he's a child molester. You know,
Right. Yeah.
but I was mad that he was goaded into doing that.
Yeah.
Was that all right for me? What I just said? That,
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine.
oh, all right. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I wasn't.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right. But he was goaded into doing that, and that made me mad.
Right.
And the fact that it wouldn't have happened if he hadn't been on the yard to start with. You know.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. And that's where I feel like the administration should never place them there because they know what they've got coming.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
that's very unfair. You're right. You know,
Yeah.
especially being the only guy. The other guy only had 7 years left.
Yeah. I almost feel like they do because most of them are in PC. You know.
Yeah.
So when you see 1 or 2 out there, you almost think it's on purpose. You know.
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't doubt it if that was, you know, that was the case sometimes. Now, so you guys do have, so I've always heard different stories, you know, some states don't have PC, some do. So you guys did have a PC area there as well.
Some of the prisons did, and some of them didn't.
Okay.
And the last one I was in was before this happened. That
Mm-hmm.
it started out, it didn't have a PC, and they made half the whole of the PC.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I'm sure it became an issue at some point, so they had to put them somewhere,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
I mean, because it got to where in Missouri now, I've said this in one of my videos, it's changed. You know, the caliber of people coming in has changed, and there's more snitches, you know?
You know what?
So they got to
Here
have a
too.
place for them.
Oh,
There
okay.
too.
Yes, it's the weirdest thing. I was just talking to someone earlier about that, another YouTuber, and we were just in shock about. It's like that's the thing to do anymore. It's like snitching is so
Yeah,
normal.
And I don't understand it because you're putting yourself in danger, you know?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, even if you think you're doing it for a noble reason, you're putting yourself in danger.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. You absolutely are. That's crazy. Now, how were you treated by the staff? You know, in the prison, is the staff there normally pretty aggressive with inmates, or? I mean, I guess it varies. Yeah.
Yeah, at the Missouri State Prison,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the walls, they could be brutal. Back then, they had these nightsticks and these big long mag lights, you know.
Yes.
And if you caused any problems, they'd take you to 5C, which was a section of the hole,
Mm-hmm.
and they would cuff your hands and feet, put phone books across you, and beat you.
Oh my
And
goodness.
the reason they put phone books across you is it wouldn't leave any bruises, but you'd be sore, you know.
Yeah, you'd feel that definitely, but wow, that's just wrong. Jeez.
But most of them nowadays don't do. You know, I got along with most of them. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
every prison has a jerk in it. You know?
Yeah, got a robe.
Somebody on a
Yeah.
power trip. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I bet.
but most of them, you know, I didn't like talk to them all the time like some people like to do nowadays, but
Mm-hmm.
I got, if they passed by and asked me how I was doing, I'd say, I'm fine. How are you? But
Right.
but we have what we call Jeffers out here.
What's
People that
that?
just they're just people that stay right around the guards, just talking to them all day long.
Oh man, that'd be a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, yeah, it was there too.
Okay.
We don't know. And they say, "Oh, I was just talking." We don't know that. You could be telling. You know.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I've even heard, a relative of mine who was incarcerated even mentioned to me and said, "Hey, if someone in the family passes away, don't call the prison and have the chaplain come for me, because if they take me off by myself, people could think I'm telling something. You
It's
wait."
true.
And it shocked me. I mean, I know that they normally go in pairs, but I didn't
Right.
realize even to see a chaplain that it could be considered your telling.
Right. It's like when I finally got a parole date.
Yeah.
They called me back to the caseworker's office right when it was locked down at 11 a.m.
Hmm.
Well, everybody is wanting to know why I was called back there.
Yeah.
So I go back there, and the institutional parole officer gives me, my release papers, and I come back out with this paper. And when they called lunch, everybody's wanting, what do they call you back there for? If I'd said, oh, nothing, then that would have made them suspicious.
Right. Right.
So I had to kind of tell them, well, I got a release date. I didn't want to tell everybody, but everybody was wanting to know why I was called back there.
Yeah, because I bet even having a release date can sort of put you at risk with certain people that might be jealous or might not want to see you make it out.
Right. Well, there was an interesting story about this, and I've told that in one of the videos. I was on the yard 2 weeks before they locked me up after getting a date. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
But they did it for my own safety,
Mm-hmm.
But we're on the yard, a bunch of us, and I see this guy, and I know he doesn't really like me. I don't really like him. And he breaks away from his group and starts walking towards me. So I'm thinking, oh man, here it comes.
Here it comes, yeah.
So I tell these guys, I said, kind of watch my back,
Mm-hmm.
So I went over to him, and he has his shades on, and he just stares at me for a minute. And he pulls them off, and he goes, I don't really like you. Never have. You know this. He said, but we've done a lot of time together. He says, much respect. He says, get out and don't come back. He gives me a fist bump and walks away. I was left like this.
Yeah. I bet that just blew you away. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank God he, took that route and you didn't have any trouble.
Right, I just knew he was going to get.
Yeah. I imagine you would.
They called about 2 weeks later. They called me into the caseworker's office, and they said, you need to pack your stuff. And I said, why? We'd gotten a new caseworker, from another housing unit.
Okay.
He goes, I can't have you on the yard. I said, why? And he says, it's obvious. Your custody level is 1 now. This is a level 5 prison. If anything happens to you, I said, well, can I sign a waiver? And they said, no.
Yeah.
If anything happens to you and your people sue, we're in trouble because they're going to win.
Right. Yeah. I can see that. So basically, when you're getting close to, you have a parole date, your points drop down, right? That's how that works.
Right. I was at level 5, which is the highest you could go.
Yeah.
And I got dropped all the way to a 1, which is, as low as you can get.
Right. Wow. Now, did you ever, throughout all those years, did you always have hope that you were going to make it out, or was there doubt?
There was hope, but when there's a saying in Missouri, when you go for parole, hope for the best, but expect the worst,
Yeah.
So, and if it wasn't a pro hearing come up, if it's just every day, I didn't really think about it too much, I was just worried about the day-to-day thing.
Right.
But and I got visits and stuff, and so I'd think about the outside once in a while, but I didn't dwell on it.
Right. Yeah. So you did have like family coming to see you and good.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's important, right? When you're locked up.
Oh yeah, I think it is. Now there's some people that will refuse visits. They don't want to go. They refuse. They won't make phone calls. They refuse visits.
Right.
They don't want no contact because they
Yeah.
ain't getting out.
Yeah. I'm sure that's something, mentally they just have to shut down some people. They can't deal with the outside and think about their term.
I've seen people go crazy just thinking about the outside 24 hours a day. I mean, literally,
Really.
their mind gets messed up.
Wow.
And
Yeah. Did they have
I'm
sort of mental health care for those people that had
well,
those issues, or that's a
they
tricky
had
subject too, right?
right. They had a housing unit for people with mental issues,
Oh,
and
okay.
that was on medication.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say they was getting much help, but they was getting their medication and they was away from the rest of the population.
Right. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, that's interesting. Were you able to, form any sort of friendship with any individuals in there? I mean, I know you've got to have your guard up all the time.
Yeah, there was a few, but not too many.
Right.
And there was many I was associated with, but I wouldn't really consider them friends.
Right. Yeah.
There's only like a handful that I really trusted and considered friends.
Yeah, I can
But some of the
understand.
ones I associated with, I would trust them in prison, but I wouldn't trust them out here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you all exchange, is it like there's a big thing here in California, like everybody's pretty much got to show their paperwork to show what they're in for. Is it like that there
Yeah.
too? Okay.
Yeah. And usually you don't do it unless somebody looks suspect.
Right. I
Yeah.
hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Certain people have certain looks.
They do. They do. And certain people, even out here on the streets, I have literally walked past certain people and thought, something ain't right with this one.
Right.
You learn
Exactly.
to pick up on things, and especially I'm
Right.
sure in prison you do.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
But especially after 29 years.
My
Um,
goodness.
But I remember one time they put me in a cell with this guy, and this guy, I know he's been down a long time and everything, but I didn't know that I really knew him from a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put my paperwork out, and I said, "Here's my paperwork." He goes, "I don't need to see your paperwork." He goes, "I know who you are." And I said, "Well, we've never been cellies before, so I thought I'd show you." He looks at me. He goes, "You don't know who I am, do you?" And I said, "But you're a gunner." He goes, "Yeah, but you don't know who I am." He goes, "I'm going to show you some pictures." And he showed me this picture from the walls, MSP.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of white guys in there. He goes, "There's you right there." He goes, "There's me right here."
No way.
And back then, when I was at prison, a lot of people looked like bikers.
Mm-hmm.
They had the long hair and the beards.
Yeah.
He didn't have no hair, and his beard was kind of short. He had more of like a goatee like.
Right.
So I didn't recognize him.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. That time passes by and people, look
They
changing.
they get older.
Yeah. Yeah. What a neat thing though I mean, under those conditions, it's unfortunate, but to meet up again later on like that,
Right.
Wow.
I don't know if you saw the video where I talked about this or not. Um, I was in Farmington and I got set up by another guy, this gay guy.
Really?
Well, he was trying to set up a guy. What he done, he took a razor blade and he put it on a toothbrush and he put it in this guy's cell. He gets caught.
Yeah.
He said I had something to do with it. So we both get put in the hole. They ended up sending me to Potosi, which is a punishment camp. You automatically do 9 months in the hole.
Oh man.
And they sent him to another high level camp. Well, while I was in the hole, like a few months after I was in the hole, this guy comes from that camp that the guy was sent to.
Okay.
And he gets yelling for me. He goes, "Is Harvey in here?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm going to send you a kite," which is a note. And he sends me this note, and on it he said, "Hey, my partner, that dude that set you up, got put in his cell, and my partner knows that you're a stand-up person, so he raped him for you." I don't want you to rape nobody for me,
Yeah.
I don't wish that on nobody, I wanted to beat that guy's ass, but I would not wish that on him.
Right. Yeah. And he thought he was doing you a favor by taking care of it.
Right.
Yeah. I can imagine that. That was crazy to hear, huh?
Right, but I'm thinking the guy did it because he wanted to anyway,
Yes.
You just
right.
Because the guy was gay, so he just probably,
Yeah, it was probably nothing really to it for him.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. You've got some stories. I tell you what, I've been listening to them and just sucks you right in. It feels like you're right there. You can really tell, your stories are very real.
Right. Some of them, as they're happening, as I was there, some of them, what?
Yeah.
Some of them you just can't believe unless you see it,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine it would be that way. Jeez.
Or the things people say, I've heard the strangest things said, that I didn't think would come out of anybody's mouth.
Really?
Yeah. You want me to give you a?
Yeah, if you can. Now you got me intrigued.
I got. This is the one that I think about the most, and I gotta figure out a polite way to say this.
Okay, I follow.
All right. So I got sent when my level gets dropped to 1, like I was talking about earlier. I get sent to Algoa, which is like a 1 and a 2 camp. I did not like it. I wanted to be back at that high level prison. People there are weird. They're disrespectful.
Yeah.
But I'm playing spades with these guys one time. There's 4 of us. And the one to my right, out of the blue, how can I say this? He says, "If I can blow myself, I wouldn't need a woman."
Wow.
So we just all stopped,
Right.
The guy on this side, he's dealing, and he just stops. And he goes, "Well, if you'll blow yourself, you'll blow anybody."
Yeah.
This guy gets mad. He goes, "I'm not gay." And I said, "I'm done. I'm out of here."
Yeah, game's over.
Yeah, I'm done playing this part. I can't believe I'm hearing this conversation. And this guy says, "You hear what he said to me? Can you believe he said that?" I said, "Well, you can't put yourself in that position. And if he said something wrong, punch him in his mouth, But I said, "I'm done,
Yeah.
And they all 3 of them was trying to get him back. I don't want to hear that,
Right.
That's just
Yeah, that's like, that's one of those things where you can leave me out of that conversation, huh? That is a wild thing just to say out of the blue,
Right, because we was talking about other things,
And
I think this guy, and I think my spade partner or this guy had mentioned something about women,
Okay.
But this guy, he says he wouldn't need one if he could do,
Yeah. I guess that was in the front of his mind and he just said it, huh? Wow.
Sorry for the language there. I tried to keep it,
I think you
you
do
know.
good. You do good. There's some things you just have to, you got to tell it like it is and just try to, and you did good with that. That's a interesting individual there, sounds like.
I mean, he was a little bit more vulgar than that, but I was
I bet.
trying to.
Yes, clean it up a bit, huh?
Right.
Yeah, I bet.
Right.
Now, was there ever, any sort of big riots that took place in any of the prisons you served time in, or was it more kind of
There
one
was
on one?
there wasn't like riots against the staff,
Mm-hmm.
but there was like gangs would sometimes fight.
Okay.
Like Mexicans and blacks.
Okay, so there is gangs there too. Okay.
Yeah, we ain't got so much the Aryan Brotherhood. I've never seen any so
Oh,
much.
really?
But we got other racist gangs, and
Mm-hmm.
there's Mexicans, and
Mm-hmm.
one prison had a lot of Latin kings in it. But
Okay, yeah, that's more like a East Coast and South, right? Yeah.
right, I think so. But the one thing that happened in Licking is the whole prison went on a food strike. I could not believe it. And because they've taken everything from us, they saying our personal clothes we could only wear in our cell, and they just kept restricting us. So
Yeah.
we went on this food strike, and almost everybody was involved in it, and
Mm-hmm.
the people who didn't have food, other people was giving them food so they could eat in their cell.
Right.
And so finally they gave into it. And
Mm-hmm.
it was one of the few times I've seen everybody united.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's when there's something that's affecting everybody, it kind of does unite you in a way because you're all
Right.
suffering the same consequence.
Well, I don't know how it is in California, but in Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like the DOC staff, they want you to be at odds with one another.
Yeah. I think that's pretty universal. It's here. It seems
Right.
too. Yeah. Wow.
They,
Yeah.
they
There's
don't want, yeah, they don't want unity in the prisons.
no because imagine if everybody was united, then
Right.
they're definitely outnumbered already. So
Right.
yeah. 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 There's been I don't know the details of it, but I know there's been some hunger strikes here in California that are documented, and ultimately the goal was accomplished and the things were passed that they
Yeah,
needed.
it's amazing how it works. When nobody's going to work, nobody's eating,
Yeah.
it kind of shuts the prison down.
Yeah, it really does. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Was there what type of was there work there that you all had to do inside? Was it like janitor services or things like that you got paid for? I know it couldn't have been much paid, but
Most of them didn't pay much. I worked in recreation, we didn't get paid much for that, but I liked it because I was out all day,
right.
because instead of being like out only part of the day, I was out
Mm-hmm.
all day,
Right.
and you had barbers, you had people that, worked in canteen,
Yeah. Okay.
and people worked in the kitchen, and they all got paid a little bit,
Yeah.
but the one that paid the most was MVE, Missouri Vocational Enterprises.
Hmm.
And don't let vocational fool you, because there was nothing vocational about it. It wasn't like a training thing. This is how the DOC was making money off the inmates.
Mm-hmm.
And what they would do, like the one in South Central Correctional Center, they made furniture and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So the inmates would get paid anywhere from 60 cents to 90 cents an hour, and they would turn around and sell this stuff. It was just a business for them,
Yeah. Imagine the markup they were making off of. Wow.
And then like Farmington Correctional Center had a laundry that they did for these hospitals, like 7 different hospitals.
Oh. Okay.
So it's the same thing, 60 or 90 cents an hour for the inmates,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they got this big contract from these hospitals, and they're making all kinds of money.
Oh, I bet. I bet they made a killing off of that.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, I remember back in the day, I used to hear about here, probably an hour where I'm from, Soledad Prison. They would do like reupholstering furniture, also
Right.
inside your car upholstery, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But the MVE, you really couldn't get in unless you knew somebody that worked there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a click thing.
Yeah, you kind of had to have someone to help you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I guess for the ideal jobs or the better spots, you kind of need that. I know one of the spots here that a lot of people try to get into is the kitchen, and I imagine that's to get a little extra food.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it depended. I considered recreation. Of course, I had money coming in. I considered recreation a good job because I got out all day. But
Yes.
others, they consider the kitchen the best job.
Yeah.
And especially certain positions in the kitchen.
Right.
But other people might like the warehouse, or the food service warehouse. It depended on what you liked, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Depend on the individual. I guess so.
Right.
I'm curious about this question. Let me see how to put it. We recently had a pretty risque case here with a female correctional officer that was having relations, with a.
Right.
Okay. Was there any of that going on?
It happens all the time.
Does it? My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very common.
Okay.
And I understand it's the same way with the women's prison in Missouri too,
Mm-hmm.
but it's with the male guards,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be guards. It can be nurses.
Right. Just
kitchen
any kind of
staff.
staff. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very common in Missouri.
Okay. Okay. So I guess that's across the board too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess this gal just happened to have got caught, and that was, I think, due to the fact that she didn't mind doing this in front of 11 other inmates.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm sure somebody got upset that they didn't have their turn.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, most of them get caught in Missouri because, like, the prisoner that's having the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
he may like to brag about it.
Sure.
Somebody's going to be jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's not going to like it, and it's going to tell.
Right. Yeah, I bet that's how it goes down most times.
Right.
I knew a girl here at the women's prison in Chowchilla, and I don't think she ever would have told except she come up pregnant. So
Oh, wow.
that was a big ordeal, as you can imagine.
Well, I'm told that here in Missouri, the females in the female prisons,
Mm-hmm.
they try to get pregnant by the male guards.
I've heard bits and
Because
pieces like that.
They get released,
Yeah. Wow, that's wild. That is just wild, yeah. Oh gosh. You've got some good stories, Harvey. That's crazy.
Well, that story there, I don't know how true it is. I just heard that from other women that had been in prison,
Yeah.
But that's what they said. They said the women would try to get pregnant because, they let them out,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this gal she didn't have a really long sentence, so she actually was released, shortly before she gave birth, but I guess the guard that impregnated her had a family of 6, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, you can imagine how that went down for him at home, and then he was also charged, for that. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, it just went bad for him all the way around.
All bad. Yeah, I'm sure he was begging to be taken in, having to deal with his wife at home. Probably wasn't no fun.
Right.
Jeez. Now, what about the visiting rooms? You know, when you would have your visits, was there a certain amount of men in there at a time that they would allow, and how many visitors could you have at once?
It would depend on the prison. You know, it seemed like every prison I was in, the visiting room was a little bit different size. You know,
Hmm.
and usually there was enough people. You know, but sometimes I think you'd have to wait for a little bit. You know, and they'd
Yeah.
make somebody else. They'd make them end their visit early or something. You know, which I
Hmm.
think that's terrible. You know, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never had it happen to me. But
Good. Okay.
you know,
And I imagine it gets very hot there,
yeah,
doesn't it? Okay.
yeah. It's uncomfortable in them visiting rooms. You know, to me it
Yeah.
is. You know,
Yeah. Even here, most of our prisons, anyways, are out in the middle of nowhere, and
right.
the hotter areas of California. And I just remember those visiting rooms being so hot, and they might have had a big fan sitting on top of the vending machines, but all that's doing is blowing hot air, and
Right.
it was not comfortable.
You know, the Missouri State Penitentiary, it didn't have no air conditioning in it. And
Really?
it had these heaters, but they like at the very top of the housing units, you know, the
Hmm.
tiers.
Yeah.
That when I first got there, it was midsummer, and sitting in my cell, I didn't have a fan or nothing,
Hmm.
doing nothing, and sweat was just rolling off me, you know. And I was on the top walk, but in the wintertime, it's the opposite because it's cold.
Oh, yeah.
But the people on the top, they ain't so cold because the heaters are up there. But
Right.
the ones on the bottom, they're freezing, you know?
Oh, man.
And I remember once, I always heard about this, but I never seen it. Waking up one morning, I was on the bottom walk, and the toilet had a thin layer of ice over it.
Oh my goodness.
I said, wow. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. That would be so
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I'm glad they shut that prison down. You know, that the bad thing is I went back to it after I got out on a tour. They do tours there now. It's like a museum.
Really? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. That's
I don't know.
crazy.
I think I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't know, but I
So
went back
you
there.
went
You know.
back on a tour?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
And I
How was
told him
that?
it was yeah, a lot of memories came back.
Yeah.
But there was a former guard and another former prisoner who had been there. You know.
Mm,
And they was kind of, they said they didn't know why they came back either, you know?
right.
And but I remember when we was going from one housing unit, we was going to a different area. The former guard tells me, he goes, "Hey," he goes, "It's all right."
Yeah.
He said it's no longer operational. I said, "What?" He goes, "Use it in another place, another time." I saw it,
He saw
and
that look in your eye, I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah, and he was right too. I couldn't believe it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, it was. I told him I wanted to see my old cell. There was one section they was not allowing us in. I said, "Hey, my old cell is over there. I'd like to see it. And I'd like to show the people with me."
Right.
So they took me and we went over and we saw it, you know. And
Wow. I bet that was almost an out of body experience, you know?
it was kind of surreal, you know.
Uh-huh. Wow.
It was just so odd seeing it empty, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it was. So that prison shut down for good then. That
It shut down in 2004.
Okay. And that's the one you said was called The Walls? Is that right?
Yes, Missouri State Penitentiary.
Okay.
It's called the Walls. Uh, Times Magazine called it the bloodiest 47 acres.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
Yeah.
you can look it up on Facebook. They do tours. They do ghost tours. All
Wow.
these shows that do the ghost things.
Yeah, I've
Almost
seen
all
a
of them.
couple.
Yeah, almost all of them have been there.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of people are fascinated,
Right.
what these facilities were like and how they look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a godforsaken place for sure.
It sounds
You
like
know,
it. Yeah.
the other prisoner there. When we walked out, the the tour first started, and we walked out into the yard.
Mm-hmm.
There was this grassy area, and he looks at me and he goes, "Wow, the grass is green." And somebody else there that was in the church, because there's like a group of us, says,
Mm-hmm.
"Of course it's green." And he goes, "Well, I remember when it was red."
Man, that hits hard. Wow. Whew. It sure makes it real hearing that.
Right. That's kind of an exaggeration of what he said, but
Yeah, but
there was a
it
lot of
makes
truth to it.
sense. It makes
A lot
sense.
of There was a lot of truth to it too.
Right.
Because every day you've seen people with hoses or 5-gallon buckets throwing water down on the blood,
Just washing it
and
down.
then the housing units mopping it up. But so he kind of exaggerated on that a little bit, but I knew exactly what he meant.
Yeah, he was making a point, I think he was making a point for sure. I bet. Did you guys ever have a lot of things that I think I saw one of your videos you were doing about chow time and stuff like that. Did you guys ever make meals together in your cells? Like, you know how they
Oh
talk
yeah,
about spreads?
yeah, burritos, spreads, all that.
Uh huh. What was your favorite
He,
spread to make?
the burritos, I think the burritos was my favorite, but
Yeah.
I like the nachos too. And
Mm-hmm.
there was this Mexican that made this candy tamale, he called it, and that
Mm-hmm.
was good. You know,
Yeah, like a sweet tamale. Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Yeah. Really cool to hear about that. Different, different ways to try different types of food. That's one thing we have
right.
in common as people is to break bread together.
That's right. And there's even guards have commented walking by and say, "Oh, that smells good."
Right. Yeah. I bet. Did
Yeah.
you have any, did they ever do any, like, I don't know, let you guys play baseball or anything like that? Or is it not?
Not baseball, softball,
Okay.
which is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, we had softball. There's basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and they took away the flag football because they said it was too dangerous. I never could understand that.
Yeah.
Flag football, all you're doing is running up to a person, grabbing the flag off their waist.
Right.
Uh, but softball is not dangerous. You got people
Yeah.
with bats.
A bat
You
and a
know,
ball. Yeah. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. That is crazy. And was there church services offered to people that chose to go?
yeah,
Okay.
sure. Pretty much any religion had services. There's Muslims,
Mm-hmm.
there's Christians, there's Jews, and different denominations of Christians,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and so that had a
Yeah.
wide range.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So out of, I mean, obviously, I think you've said which was the worst facility you were at. Being the one that was shut down, the walls.
Yeah.
Which prison would you consider maybe the not that it's easy time, but the easiest on you too?
Oh, the easiest. Oh, wow. I'm going to say South Central Correctional Center in Licking, Missouri.
Okay.
But there may have been easier ones. Farmington was pretty easy too. But I did like 12 years at Licking in South Central Correctional Center, and it was close to home, and I got along with everybody. I worked
Yeah.
in recreation, so I was out all day. It was
Hmm.
just, that's not to take away from the violence. There was violence there,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
I'm hearing that it's picking up, getting more violent now. People fighting over phones and stuff.
Oh, really?
But it was, to me. I think I like that one the best.
Right. And I'm sure being closer to home is always
Right,
plus, you know. Yeah,
right.
definitely. I was just thinking, you know, of two different scenarios. And do you remember your first night in prison and what that was like?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can't forget that.
You do?
Yeah, that was, you talking about the actual prison, right?
Yes,
Not the
yes.
jail or nothing. Yeah.
Right.
The, I had a cellie, and you know, they had bars in front. It wasn't like a wall, so it was kind of open, so
Okay.
you can hear everybody. Throughout that whole side.
Hmm.
Upstairs, downstairs, you can hear everybody. And it was hard for me to go to sleep. For one, because of the noise, and two, because I was just kind of afraid to go to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And but my cellie ended up being a cool dude. So
Good.
that worked out.
Yeah. I imagine the noise is one of the most difficult things to deal with.
It
For,
was.
yeah. For me, I mean, I can't imagine. I'm such a light sleeper anyhow. I bet it's hard to get any amount of sleep.
And when I got transferred from there and to Farmington,
Hmm.
it didn't have the cells weren't open in front. It was like wall and a steel door and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So that first night I had trouble sleeping because it was too quiet.
Yeah. You know,
I'd gotten used to the noise.
yeah, you adjust to your environment, so it's like probably just changing everything, you know, in your mind. Yeah, I bet it would be. Now, do you remember your last night in prison before your release?
I do. Definitely. Like I said, it was. I'm in a room with like, I don't know, about seven other person. I made the eighth person, and one of them was a guy that I'd done a lot of time with, and
Hmm.
I'd taken all my property up to the property room the day before, except for my state sheets and pillow and stuff.
Hmm.
So we just sat there and talked, for a long time, and even if I'd tried sleeping, I don't think I could have, you know.
Yeah.
But finally, way into the night, we started getting tired, so we went to sleep, and I don't think I slept too much. But then the next morning, they call you like at 7:30, and I didn't think 7:30 was ever going to come.
Right. I bet. I bet. Wow. And now, did you walk out and did you have family there to pick you up, or did you have to get on a bus?
Well, I had to get on the bus at first, but I just didn't walk out. I had to go to the property room,
Oh,
and then it seemed like I'd go from here to here to here, and I was signing papers, and
right.
I'm thinking, wow, when's this going to be over with? And so me and this other guy was both leaving at the same time,
Hmm.
and so we finally get out front, and we had to wait, for a little bit, and they gave us it's more like a van. They took us to St. Louis. His people made him in St. Louis. I had to go to Springfield. My people could have came there and got me, but they was having like car trouble or something. So
Okay.
they didn't want to make a long trip. They didn't trust the vehicle. So
Right.
I took a bus to Springfield, Missouri, and they picked me up there.
Okay.
But it was weird standing outside the gates, being on the opposite side. It almost felt wrong.
That's what I was going to ask next. You know, was it almost a mind trick? You know, like what's
Right.
going to happen next, or someone going to come get me?
Right. Is this a trap?
Hmm.
Am I going to get in trouble?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
that is so interesting to me.
And then another thing was the guards that was coming in like to work.
Hmm.
a couple of them I knew were jerks. You know, they gave everybody a hard time, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they want to be friendly with me. You know,
Yeah. That's interesting.
you know,
Isn't it? Like, oh, okay, now you want to be friendly.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's something else. Wow. It's how long have you been out now?
I got out on November of 2016.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it's almost been 5 years. It'll be 5 years in November.
Coming up, yeah. And how do you, you know, how have you adjusted to life on the outside? And, you know, I know it's got to be a completely different world out here from how you remember it before.
Oh, it was. You know, there was no. When I went to prison, there was no internet. There was no smartphones, cell phones,
Hmm.
none of that. You know, and that was kind of easy to get used to. You know,
Right.
this the phones were. It didn't take me too long, but
Hmm.
it was like when I first got out. Like I wouldn't leave the house. You know, and unless other people were leaving, and finally I was told, you know, you can go out on your own. You know,
Right.
and even then, when I'd go out, I would feel automatically put my hand up here because it's feeling for my ID,
Oh, yeah.
my prison ID.
Yes.
It was funny. We had to have them clipped to our shirt all the time, you know.
Right.
And so sometimes I'd walk out and I'd go, "Oh crap," you know.
Where's my ID? Oh my goodness. I bet that, you know, it's the small things like that, like you wouldn't think, you know,
Right.
but it does. It sticks with you. And, you know, you've got to,
I got to sit with my back to the wall like in a restaurant and stuff, you know.
yes,
I
that's
got I
something
got to see everybody.
that's something
I don't
I
like,
have noticed with my loved ones as well.
yeah,
That's always,
I don't like crowded areas. Yeah.
yeah, it definitely creates, you know, a lot of social anxiety to live with.
I don't like somebody if somebody's talking to me
Hmm.
and they got their hands in their pocket. You know, why?
Hmm. Right.
Do me a favor and take your hands out of your pocket. I don't know what you got in there. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
that's what's in my head. You know,
Sure. Of course. I mean, you live so many years that way.
right,
You would naturally feel that way, I think.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just I'm not trying to be mean or anything. You know, I'm just
Hmm.
it's just it puts me on edge when I see.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. Like I said, I've seen this with my own loved ones, and
you know,
you know. And how about as far as people? You know, I noticed with my uncle, he really didn't like people getting real close to him when talking to him. You know.
yeah, I didn't like that either. You know,
Yeah.
um, and I'm real. You know, I keep an eye on everything around me,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And so I don't like people getting real close to me, especially
Hmm.
behind me. You know,
Yeah.
but even in front of me.
Right.
But there was this one, if I may tell you this little story.
I'd love
When
to
I first
hear
got,
it. Yeah.
I know this didn't happen. I know I did not cut in front of this guy because
Hmm.
I'm looking at everything. But this little, what do you call them, little people? You know,
Yeah, little people.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He tapped me on the side and he goes, "You cut in front of me." I said, "Well, I don't think I did." He goes, "You did. I'm not happy." And I said, "Well, which one are you?" Making a reference to this.
Oh. Okay, I get it. I had a blonde moment, but I get it. That's a good one.
Well, he gets real mad, and I said, "Look," I finally said, "Look, you know, you can get in front of me.
Yeah.
Go ahead." He says,
Right.
"No, I'm going to go to the next line." And this woman behind me says, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
All that just to, you know,
All that fuss just to go to the next line.
right?
Jeez, that's funny. And how about when you came home? Did you come home to the same family members that were there when you went away, or had people passed on while you were
Yeah, my
incarcerated?
parents had, my excuse me, my parents had passed on, and
I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah.
8 months before I got out, my brother passed.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, he was looking forward to it. When I told him I had a date and everything, I think he was happier than I was. He went nuts,
I
you know.
bet. Yeah.
And he said, I got you a job and everything. You know, I'll talk to my boss. I'll get you a job, and then so it was just all of a sudden he passes like 8 months before I get out.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that had to have been a big blow for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was. I think that was probably one of my worst moments.
Yeah. I bet, because you guys obviously had a very, special brotherly bond over everything.
Right.
Hmm.
And so now I'm living with his family.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So you do have a piece of him in a way, a sense of, his family.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the kids look just like him.
Oh,
But they say I look like him, so you know.
yeah, that's probably a comfort to them too then. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really neat. What made you decide, to start a channel and talk about your life and stories on YouTube?
Well, I was on Quora. Do you know what Quora is?
No.
It's a question and answer platform,
Okay.
and I have a lot of followers there, and all my stuff was about prison content,
Hmm.
and so some of them get to tell me, you need to start a YouTube channel.
Hmm.
People need to hear this.
Yes.
And I didn't want to do it at first. And then they said, well, you're trying to reach young people and trying to keep them out of prison.
Yeah,
YouTube is probably going to be the best way to do that.
I
So,
agree.
and so I finally did.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did. You got, a very positive, good message and outlook on life, and it's very encouraging.
Right. Well, I'm kind of glad I did too. I didn't really want to at first, but now I'm kind of glad I did.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's neat the way we can all connect, and kind of uplift each other and tell stories and bounce ideas off each other. I feel like it's been a good thing for a lot of people.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
Uh, people like you and Jay Williams and all these other people. Chad.
Hmm.
All you guys are doing great, man. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, so are
Uh,
you.
Thank you.
You really are, Harvey. Like I said, it was a blessing to come across your channel. I really just, for some reason, instantly felt like I knew you or something.
Right.
Yeah. And I hope this is one of many conversations we get to have.
Oh yeah, I love talking to you again.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Well, this was good. I'm going to look forward to part two. We'll come.
Oh, me too. Definitely.
Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
have a part two planned for sure. And I just want to tell everybody that's watching right now, if you're not already subscribed to Harvey's channel, it's Harvey Talks Prison. Go ahead and subscribe. He has a lot of great information out there. Positive message, some humor involved in it, a lot of facts and things that I know you guys are going to find interesting because I know I have.
Thank you so much.